So what were your like memories of being in the closet?
Tough. Yeah, really tough. Really, really hard. The weird thing about coming out is you never come out once. You're always coming out for the rest of your life,
Yeah.
especially in my industry. Because
Yeah.
I meet people and I meet players and I meet managers, and even now, you know, you have that moment where someone you may have known for years and years and years, and they don't know you're gay because they didn't read Gay Times or they didn't look at social media or they had never had that conversation. But they'll say, "Oh, did you have a good summer? What did you get up to? Were you away with the kids, wife, blah, blah." And you always have that moment. You're like, "Oh, here we go again. What do I say here? Do I come out or do I just say, oh no, I'm single or whatever?"
What do you say?
It depends on who it is. Most of the time I'll say, "Oh, funny enough, no kids. I'm actually gay, so yeah, I don't have a wife." But you know, and do that. But occasionally you just go, "Oh, do you know what? Just let's just."
And is their
move on.
reaction? So this frequent coming out thing applies to so many gay men.
Yeah.
But you actually represent the top of the pyramid of someone that has to come out so regularly because you work in such a straight world.
Yeah.
It's not like all these other industries that really do have a lot of gay people in them.
Yeah.
So I suppose, what is the reaction from people when you have to correct them? Typically,
most of the time there's like that moment of awkwardness, and then you just move on.
and do you feel a shift in the energy then between?
Sometimes you can with certain people.
Like they kind of don't know what to say next.
Yeah,
and then they
yeah.
kind of walk off.
Yeah. Sometimes you can sense their insecurities coming out and their fear, and they're like, "Oh, you know, this is a thing."
Yeah.
And sometimes people just don't really care. "Oh, I've got a mate who's gay, or my brother's gay, or my cousin's gay." Or, you know, it's less of a thing, isn't it? There are more people out there that are themselves. So you know, I'd say everyone now knows someone who's gay, or has got a family member who's gay, or has got friends that are gay, or girlfriends' friends are gay. It's less of a thing.
So when I'm around straight guys, sometimes they slip up and they say things. They don't know I'm gay. I overhear things that I shouldn't hear.
Yeah.
I'm gonna presume you also maybe hear things that you don't like. You know, maybe you more amongst fans than you would amongst people in the industry. So do you ever find that you've heard something and you've had to correct someone?
I do remember going to a game, big game, as an away fan. I went to watch a mate of mine. It was a big game, and I walked into the away end because that's where he got me a ticket. And I was there within a minute, and someone really close to me, within a meter or so, was shouting at one of the other players and calling him and I was like, "Oh my God," like, but like, horrific word. And I don't like that word myself because that was what I got called as a kid. So that's the one word that kind of really resonates with me when it hurts.
Yeah.
And then I'm like in that space where I'm like, well, what do I do? You know, do I say something to a steward? Do I call him up? Or do I just accept that some people are fucking idiots and they're going to use language that's not really acceptable in this day and age? And I just watched the game and enjoyed it for what it was, and it's just part of the atmosphere and part of the moment, part of what was going on. It's not right, but it's just the way some people are.
Yeah. But I mean, it's a good insight to hear. That's a shit example. I'm not saying that's a good insight. I'm saying it's good that you don't have many examples of that.
No, yeah, really.
You don't
really
overhear people going, "Oh, shut up, that's gay, mate," or like, "Oh, you fag," or like, that's not like
not really
a frequent thing that you hear.
No, I don't. I have to be honest. I don't go to football. I'm not in and around these environments where I hear unacceptable language being used. So is that education? Is that awareness? Is that cultures? Whatever it is, it's not what, you know. I've never been in that experience, so I can only say it's been really positive.
Right at the start of the interview, you said that sometimes it can be quite lonely.
Yeah.
So can you elaborate? What do you mean? Do you kind of wish that you had other gay colleagues that you could talk about like men and talk about like other like non-straight things? Do you know what I mean? I don't know, like talk about the attitude award.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess it would make you feel less of a thing. It was funny actually because I saw an interview with Rosie Jones the other day, and she was saying, you know, we need more disabled people in the industry, in the media, because then I can go and take a fucking holiday. Again, and that made me laugh because again, I love Rosie, by the way. I did a show with her a few years ago and absolutely adore her. But she gets put out there as a disabled comedian, as a disabled entertainer a lot. And she, you know, and obviously if there were more people out there, not just one. And the same for me. Yes, you are at Rainbow Laces, you do get the phone calls. Can you do this? Can you do this interview? Can you come here? Can you talk about this? You do feel like, I don't represent the whole LGBTQ plus community. I represent myself. All right, I have an opinion as a gay man, but it doesn't necessarily reflect the opinion of every gay man. So yeah, it would be cool to have more gay people. Not because I want to ask them about, Series 6 of RuPaul and, oh, have you seen that queen? How does she make it? Like,
Yeah.
I guess the chat would probably still be about football. You'd just be having that conversation with someone who was openly gay. So you'd feel that connection perhaps that you don't with a straight person.
So talking about coming out in general, how was your coming out experience? You said it was 10 years ago, or is that publicly?
Yeah. 10 years ago publicly.
Okay.
So I got to a point in my life where I was like, look, there was a few things that had happened at work, and I was like, right, maybe I should come out. It was not long after Tom Daley had come out, and I thought, well, if this 18-year-old kid can come out and be loved, then I can. And I kind of thought, well, look, the industry needs people to start knocking down barriers. Otherwise, when is something going to change?
Mm-hmm.
So I had someone contact me and said, would you be interested in talking about your sexuality for a magazine? And I was like, yeah, cool. And they were like, will you do a photo shoot? And I was like, well, if I'm going to do it, I just need to do it and get on with it, not do it half-heartedly.
Yeah.
So yeah, I did it. And, I think there were people at work that were cool with it, and there were people that weren't cool with it with regards to my bosses. I think Sky's a very different place now.
Mm-hmm.
The bosses now are far more aware and understanding. And if people were to come out now, my colleagues, it would be a very different environment to what it was for me back then. And back then it was like, well, let's just not talk about it. You can come out, but we don't need to do any interviews. We don't need to do any extra. We don't need to do anything. It doesn't matter. It's your sexuality and people shouldn't care. Whereas I was kind of like, well, no, I kind of want to talk about it because it's important for me that there are people that see me and I am a visible man working in this industry. But generally, I think it was kind of cool. I had one comment on Twitter from some kid who called me a faggot. And that was it. And I expected more. I expected more abuse. I expected to go to games. I expected fans to say stuff. I expected to be really challenged in a negative way and made to feel inadequate.
Yeah, right.
But I wasn't. It just wasn't a thing.
Mm.
I think there was maybe one person in my life that was not comfortable with it. And then we never spoke again. He was older. He was a guy that was more of a mentor than he was a friend. He was a mentor in football. And that was it. And then I just got on with my life.
Yeah. So what was this article? Was it I did see there was an article that you did, but what was the one that you're talking about? This coming out article with the photos?
So I did a photo shoot and a spread, or whatever you want to call it. Not me, the magazine spread.
Yeah.
I wasn't spreading
what
anything.
Sort of photo shoot? What was the magazine?
Gay Times.
Gay Times. Yeah, I thought it was that one.
Yeah. So and then it was out there, and then obviously you're kind of welcomed into that environment, and you get invited to Attitude Awards, and you get to meet people, and you make new friends, which you wouldn't have otherwise done. Which was amazing. So
were you bricking it before it went live?